All right, welcome to solving systems with three variables. Now we have not just an XY point, but we have XYZ. And it's not always going to be XYZ. It could be ABC. It could be three random letters. It doesn't matter. We're just trying to find the three variables. Now, I do want to kind of give you a visual. This is what we've been working with down here. Two lines that cross at a single point, no matter where it is. Once we have this third variable, we're kind of adding a third dimension. Think of it as pieces of paper, and we're trying to figure out where these three pieces of paper cross. More accurately, think of this as like the corner of a box. Like there's a side, and there's a side, and there's the bottom, and that's the corner of a box. We're kind of trying to find the corner of the box. Now, there are no solution and infinite solution, no solution. We're looking for where all three touch at the same time. So just because they all touch each other, or there's connection, doesn't mean that there's a single point. With infinite, it could touch at multiple spots everywhere. And honestly, I'm not really sure how this is infinite, but it was there and I wasn't going to edit it out. But we could have infinite solution. It happens. It doesn't happen as much in three variable stuff that they give you, but it can happen. So here's where we started in this gray box. And it looks like we now have three equations. With three variables, you have to have three equations. Now, here's the good news. This is the end. Every single one of them is going to end just like this. And so we're going to tiptoe our way backwards and see how these all end the same and show you what's up. So I said, okay, where do we want to start? And they're like, well, that bottom one we could solve. B equals 1, 2b equals 2, b equals 1. I said, cool, we have b equals 1. Every time we got a variable in two variable stuff, what did we do? We got to plug it back in. Well, where do you want to plug it back in? You want to plug it back into the top? They said no. And their reasoning was because we would still have two variables left that we don't know. And we can't solve for two variables in a single equation. But they noticed the second one, if I plug b in right here, I can solve for u, and then I can get an answer for u. Now I have b and I have u. I'm only missing y. This y right here. I can plug in u, I can plug in b. That's what I did here in green, and got an answer. Again, doesn't matter like what they give you here, they got to go in alphabetical order down here. X, Y, Z, A, B, C, or in this case, B, U, Y, which spells by. I don't know if they intended that or whatever. I don't know. But they all end like this. Every single one of these. We will get here. Variable equals a number. Plug into a two variable one. And then take both of those and plug into a three variable one. They all end the same. Well, my kids got a little overwhelmed because like, wait, they didn't gift wrap one of the answers to us. But I did this. And I said, let's look at what we got up top. Is that not something we could solve? I actually stole this from, I think, the day 3 video that we kind of started already, where we actually eliminated y in that video, but my kids wanted to eliminate x. It really doesn't matter. You're going to get the same answer either way you do it. So I said, okay, let's not even worry about this third equation yet. Here, right here. 4 across the bottom, 3 across the top. I have same signs here, so they had different signs here. And then this right here, this is our checkpoint. Okay, this was our checkpoint with two variable stuff. Once I have something that can be combined, when I combine them together to make 0, everything's the same. Everything should be familiar. Now, I didn't have it back here because we started basically right here. Like I would have gift wrapped this to you. Well, we know how to mess with two variable stuff. We did 4 videos on it. I can get y and I can get x. Well, once I have both of those, I just plug in to my last one and find z. It's not too terribly difficult. We're just, instead of stopping at x and y, we'll take x and y and plug it in and find our last variable. Every single one of these ends this way. We get one variable, we find a two variable equation to plug it in and get variable number 2. Then we find one that's got our missing variable and plug in to get it. every single one of these ends this way. Well, let me do this. I see that instead of back here, I had two that only had two variables, and we don't have to deal with that. I only have one that's two variable, and I got this guy right here. So what about these guys? And again, I kind of like said, let's just ignore this for now. Up here, I have two equations. Now, can I not combine two equations? It's what we've been doing. When I do that, does anything disappear? Well, my x's disappear. Well, did this have an x? No. So getting rid of x here and leaving a single equation with just y and z, 5y plus z equals 4, is exactly what I need to then have those cancel out. And yeah, so I canceled these out when I combined those two together. And now I didn't have to change anything. Potentially I could, like back here I would have had to change stuff. But they were ready to, this is my checkpoint. Once I got two variable equations that could be combined together, combine them, get an answer, plug back into one of these two equations. I don't want to plug back in here because I don't know y and z yet. No, I don't know y and x yet. So it wouldn't help. But here, I can take this and plug it in to one of these, which is what I did, find y. Now I'll go back to, I think we chose the bottom one, doesn't matter, one where I could find out what x equals. It was the same thing here, but I told them to be careful because you saw this right here, and you go, oh, x and minus x, that's easy. Problem is, if I get rid of x here, I have y and z. Am I looking for y and z? No, I'm not. And I can't have like 4y and 3z and think that I'm going to be okay with elimination. It just doesn't work that way. So instead, I have to get rid of z. Okay. Z can match here if I use a -2 and technically a 1 on bottom. Once I got them to look kind of the same, I eliminated and I got this. X and Y number. X and Y and a number. Bring this bad boy down here. Y's both said positive. Change the signs and there's my checkpoint. I am ready to cancel out my Y's. Solve for x, plug back in, plug back in. These all end the same. This is our checkpoint. Two equations with the same two variables that when we combine, they eliminate. That's my checkpoint. So again, had them be careful because 2x and -2x can eliminate, but this one's missing the z, so we want z to disappear. Use 3 and 5. And we got some kind of big numbers, and we got y equals 3. We plugged in, and x equals 1/2. And again, if I'm going too fast, just pause the video. It's all the same. Ask questions later if you need to. I got x equals -1/2. Oh, fraction. Because -2 divided by 4 is not -2. Be careful. This is definitely -1/2. But when I look at all my x's, those are all even numbers. Can I cut them in half and still be okay? Well, sure I can. And I can solve for z, no problem. This is not a bad fraction. We can get fractions. I'm really sorry, I'm tired. It's 11:45. We can get fractions sometimes. It doesn't happen a ton, but it can happen. Try this one on your own. Pause the video right now, because here in like 5 seconds, I'm gonna switch the page, and now, I'll be honest, you should have gotten some big numbers, but they're just numbers, okay? Everything ends up working out perfectly fine. Get some big numbers, not a big deal. Revealing the answer, 3, 2, 1, just like this. See these big numbers and even bigger numbers? But look, when I did that and got -564 and did that and got 564 because that canceled, and I got these to cancel earlier, x just equals -1. Plug it back in, get -4. Plug them back in and get 3. This was not too terribly. We got big numbers, but don't be scared. As long as you're doing it right, everything's going to work out okay. So hopefully you did okay on this one. If not, come find one of us. We can help you figure out what went wrong. I had someone do 1062 instead of 26, a little dyslexia there. And that's why he was getting some weird numbers. But that's the easy part of 3 variables. I'll have another video once we do some more 3 variable stuff. Because up until this point, they've given us a 2 variable something to match with. So when it changes, we'll have another video. This one was a little bit longer than I would have liked, but hopefully you're still